I want to talk about an interview that I did last night. I'm bringing some solutions. People always say, well, Ben, what do we do? Most of the time I'm like, I don't know what you should do. You got to do what you're going to do. Like, I'm just telling you the problem. I'm not an organizer. I'm an information warfarer. But I did an interview for TYT last night with David Becker, who is the executive director for the Center for Election Innovation and Research. And we spoke specifically about mail-in voting. That interview is going to air tonight on just before the TYT main show. So if you want to see the full interview, please do. But he pointed out a couple of things that I have not said on my show that I think needs to be said to help the situation. Specifically the one I talked about yesterday, where Axios went into detail about the possibility that Donald Trump could have the appearance that he won in a landslide on election night. And because of mail-in ballots, the actual result would show that Joe Biden won. I said the number one thing that we could do is prepare, make sure that the media understands this, make sure that people have the expectation not to expect their results on election night. Here's a different solution, which is pretty much like no duh. Once you hear it, you're going to be like, yeah, no duh, but it bears repeating. So a couple of things. One, he said that he has spoken to so many election supervisors across the country. He didn't say he spoke to them all, but he said he spoke to a whole lot of them all across the country. And they wanted to assure people the efforts that they're going through to make sure that people can vote safely. The number one thing that they're doing is making sure that there is more space in between every election booth, voting booth than ever before. It's going to be more than 6 feet. They're going to maximize the amount of space that they can get between every single voting booth. The second thing is that they sanitize after every person that goes up. They're going to be sanitizing after every person that goes up. The third thing is if you are voting early and you have that same kind of protocol, he said that it is safer or just as safe. Nope. I don't want to put words in his mouth. He said it is safer to go vote in these type of conditions than it is to go to the grocery store. So if you have been brave enough to go in a grocery store, which I have not been, I'm not even gonna lie, I have not stepped foot in a grocery store since February 27th when I started quarantining. If you have been going to a grocery store and you found it to be safe enough for you to continue to do, he says that this is going to be voting in person, especially voting early, is going to be safer than going to a grocery store. All right. That was news for me, and I felt like that bore repeating. Whatever. Don't care. The second thing is the thing. He said, if you are voting by mail, he said, we naturally have a propensity to always wait to the last minute and get everything in before the deadline. He said, forget about the deadline. He said, if you wait until the deadline, it is a high likelihood that your vote will not be counted before everything is said and done. He's just, period. Don't have the expectation that your vote is going to be counted if you wait to have it postmarked by election day. At that point, you are contributing to the possibility that Donald Trump could have an appearance of victory on election night, but then a week later, Joe Biden wins because all the mail-in ballots are counted. And that is the perfect nightmare scenario for us to go to war with ourselves, because we have a sadistic megalomaniac in the White House who's more concerned with his ego than he is about preserving our union. So, forgetting about these deadlines, order your mail-in ballot now. Return your mail-in ballot the same day that you get it. Do not let it sit around. Don't let it collect dust. The day you get it, return it. And if you return it, he said that most supervisors of election offices have drop boxes, or you could drop it off directly in those offices and get some type of certification that you dropped it off. And if you do that, then in some states, they will begin processing your ballot even before. They don't count it, but they process it before election night. And then on election night, the morning of election, they have already processed them. Now they can count them. And then that way, your mail-in ballot will be counted at the same time as everybody else's ballots. So spread the word as far and wide as you can, because the last thing that we need, the nightmare scenario where I can absolutely see Donald Trump undermining our union to the point where we don't return from a complete breakdown of society. Like, checkmate in terms of America's history. Donald Trump will be the last president of the United States because his ego is such that he will sit back and tweet while this nation burns, all for the purposes of satiating his ego. To avoid that, mail in your ballot, return your ballot now. It's September. Return it now. Order it now. Return it the day that you get it. And if you vote in person, vote early. And be assured that the supervisors of elections are making sure that every single precinct is taking necessary precautions to maximize the space, especially in the cases of the NBA arenas that are going to be used for voting. They are going to have the maximum space possible between people. So there you go. I just wanted to make sure that I brought you some solutions to the potential nightmare that we have coming around the bend.